It's time for another International Pinnacle Roundtable Talks. This is the after party, no holds barred, all kind of juicy stuff. Give us the true opinions. And I want the truth. Right now, Noxville, where did you have Tundra in your original predictions?
I had him at 6th, which was shocking, but not as bad as last year where everyone had Spirits at like 10th or something. So not as bad as last year. But once again, it's like the defense against the Dark Arts position. The best team didn't win. The curse continues. And yeah.
I think that's the best like metaphor for TI. Yeah, defense against the Dark Arts position. Ponlo, did you do predictions? Did you sink down to the level of everybody else and actually fill them out?
I actually predicted only about Tundra. I didn't predict anyone else, and I predicted Tundra would do shit.
Just like your bounty hunter prediction. Nice.
Oh my god, dude. I'm not very good at this game, am I? I told a few people that I thought Tundra was gonna do badly because I watched Tundra's like vlogs and I was like, this sneaking guy, the way he talks, I feel like he's talking like after the game, after they lost the tournament. I just feel like I don't know what is this team dynamic going on. I thought it was all gonna hit the fan, you know, like, but evidently I did not know what I was talking about.
Fair. All right, Kips, what was your read on Tundra? What'd you start out at?
I put them at top 6 as well, I think, but not really any further. And my reasoning for that was mostly that they'd been like one of the best teams for the entire season. Everybody'd been copying them. Surely they would have been found out by now. And as it turns out, nobody else did the math.
Okay, Adam, you're the last one. Do you get to feel really smug right now? Or
no predictions here. I did 0 predictions.
Okay, so we can't like directly call you out here.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
But I definitely did better than Ponlo.
I'm up on the dartboard for everyone to shoot today.
Yeah, we got to talk about your bounty hunter tinker predictions, okay? Are we ready to grill Ponlo about this now that he's finally here, or are we gonna wait? We got to get through the grand finals first.
Oh, we did flame him a little bit when he was away, but I think
he's here now.
Yeah. No, it's free. It's free to do again. We'll get there. We'll talk about the heroes of the grand finals and the heroes of the tournament. We'll, comment on the stunning lack of bounty hunter at that point. The grand finals was, I would say, an experience. It happened. It was an experience. Kips, you were in the arena. What was the arena experience? What did the crowd feel?
Yeah, so the crowd felt so very, very much about Matumba Man. And then as soon as he was out, they were like, this is like 2 teams of Western Europeans against each other. There's no storyline here. There's no feeling here. There's not even like, if you have like China versus NA, or if you have any kind of like proper underdog in the running, you get some sort of dynamic. People will choose sides. And this crowd was very polite, and they were sort of like, oh, fancy that. Good sport. And yeah, and that combined with the fact that it never really looked like Team Secret had a proper, foot in the door. It was a mellow experience, let's put it that way. This was not SCA crowd hype.
Yeah, that's something to say. I haven't had the fortune of going to a Southeast Asian land, but that's what everybody always talks about is the crowd. They love Southeast Asia lands. The crowd's great. Maxwell, you didn't get to experience this trio crowd, but you got to watch it at home.
Yeah, I've seen the SCA crowd many times, like being there for countless events. Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand. So I can only imagine that the crowd, when they're hyped, are super loud, super boisterous, and definitely will support a team like Liquid, which has got momentum, which has got iconic players. Sure, Secret has that too. They have Puppy, who's a huge favorite in SCA. But for watching from afar on the stream, it just seemed really dead. So I don't know if it was a production thing where they weren't like capturing the crowd and the hype, but it did feel rather dead, and that kind of paralleled the finals. I think many people realize Tundra versus Secret in the upper bracket finals was quite an exciting matchup. There was, first of all, it wasn't a whitewash. Secret were able to win a game. But when it came to the finals, it seemed that the way in which Secret had managed to win a game was a learning that Tundra made in the upper bracket finals, and it was just, the door was shut. There was no way out for Secret, and Tundra just executed perfectly. So the crowd realized this, I think, maybe halfway through game number 1 or game number 2, they knew it wasn't going to be pretty, and they just chilled and probably looked at their phones and tried to get into the after party.
Fair. Yes, Ponlo, do you have comments on the Dota? Do you want to talk about the stellar 3-0 Dota?
The Dota, I mean, I was there for both days, so I mean, I wasn't like watching the in-game that like specifically, so I don't really know a lot of specifics, I think. But I mean, Tundra just made use of. I actually thought after what Purge tweeted, right, about the damage mitigation and stuff, like the AoE items that they bought, the buffing shit. Like, I did find that it can't be that simple, right? It can't be as simple as that. And I actually watched I watched some of the replays with a specific someone yesterday that I can't name because it's gonna be my teammate.
Oh.
A very smart person in Dota 2. A very smart person in Dota 2. And basically, what I gathered from the finals was that Tundra's macro game was just like, regardless of the items, regardless of the heroes, the way they played on the map with all 5 heroes, right? The towers they chose to defend, chose to give, the places they chose to farm with every single hero, like, they were just really good about that. And they were so much better than Secret at that, where they choose to put their heroes on the map. And this started like post laning, like at like 10 minutes, it already started the macro game. Whereas other teams, maybe they start to play the macro game like late into the game, like 25 minutes, about Roche, like that's all they play in a macro for. But yeah, Tundra, to me, that's what I can see now. Yeah.
Adam, is that why Secret couldn't do anything? They were just too slow to take control of the game. Doesn't have to do with the 3 Lesh picks in a row. It was more their macro choices.
I feel like Secret weren't like fully prepared to play against Tundra in the finals. Like they tried different things like throughout the series and nothing really worked in the end. Like I think the biggest thing for me in the series was that the way Tundra played the map, they didn't really allow Rezo to get farm. Because I think the areas they prioritize a lot, like if you watch like all 3 games, like Rezo had like a really hard time trying to do what he usually does. And I think on top of that, like I think Secret is probably one of the teams that are good at using the map as well. They're like first half of each game, like you'll see the network advantage is not really there for Tundra. But like Ponlo said, like they have these movements and like the way they use their smokes, and I think they prioritize a lot of like ghost push. It's like super annoying to play against, and it kind of like they get opportunities from it, and their smokes are like super clean. Like Tundra smokes are really, really clean. I think that was like the biggest standout point for me. Yeah, that's it.
So, what were your takeaways? I know you're sitting there watching these games, checking all the stats, pulling item timings, right, for people who are breaking records, for pick patterns and everything. What stood out to you when you watched this series? And wait, other question. Have we had a 3-0 at TI before, or was this the first one?
I actually don't even know that. I think we must have had one more, but I can't actually think about that.
Was the second OG TI a trio?
Yeah. The one where they
like
played against LGD? Or the one where they
second TI? No, the second one.
The second one.
The one where they stomped throughout the whole tournament.
Yeah, I feel like I have looked this up before and it was the second one.
We won.
Because otherwise someone would have said something. But
yeah.
I feel like I'm letting all stats people down by not knowing this.
No, 3-1 in the second.
Yeah, it was 3-1 versus Liquid, 3-2 against LGD. Spirit
Liquid-
LGD was 3-1. I don't think there's been a 3-0.
About
You
No,
Liquid.
guys
there is.
remember
Newbie Liquid, 2017. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Oh yeah.
There we are.
There we go. Got it.
But
Okay,
those
now
games,
you can
those
tell.
games were long. Those games were a bit longer, weren't they? Anyway, yeah. Okay, so I mean, I guess the first part of your question about what was interesting was about how Tundra almost always, once they kind of got a lead and they got the ball rolling, they were almost impossible to stop. And one of the only teams that were able to stop that was Secret in the upper brackets, where the game was very, very close for 20 minutes. Like, neither team had more than like 2k gold advantage up till the 20-minute mark. And then Tundra got ahead, and they got further and further ahead up till about, let's say, 10k. And that's when Secret started team fighting and they turned it around. So they were never able to, like, fully close out the game, and Secret were able to team fight. And like was alluded to earlier, this was one of the few games where Reza was able to farm. He was able to have a good off lane. And there was a bit of a sacrifice in that the Dry Ranger and Nyx Assassin safe lane didn't have super great time to start. But because Reza got going and because Nisha didn't get destroyed in mid, it means that there was like enough resources for them to go out as 4. Crystallis was able to farm and they were able to get back into it. So I guess that's the first part of it is how to beat Tundra is to win two lanes or win 1.5 lanes and then put yourself in a position to team fight. Because like everyone said, Tundra play the map so well. They're able to push out, they're able to control the map. And maybe this is like a spoiler or insight into something is I think map control is a very important thing that I need to start measuring from a stat side, because it describes what was so good for them here. And I guess part 2 is almost the MVP, I think, of the tournament is 33. And it's not just his gameplay, it's the fact that he has a very unique hero pool, but his heroes are all also interchangeable for the same game plan that Thunder would like to do. So they all want to push out, control the map, and they're all doing it in slightly different ways. So it's like, yeah, you can talk about the things that you need to do in the from a drafting perspective. You need to ban out Snake King's Mirana. You need to ban out what seemed impossible to deal with, which was Skitter's Chaos Knight and his Naga Siren. But a real MVP in the draft is all of 33 heroes. Doom, Brood, Beastmaster, Visage. These are all like, when Necrobook was banned, 33 was just like, okay, well, we can't get the item. We'll have to just pick the heroes to do the same kind of effective thing. So, yeah, that's how I kind of viewed this tournament. And that's why I felt that once Tundra took a knock and like we saw that gods could bleed, they were able to realize that their only weakness was a team having more team fight than them and surviving the laning stage.
Can I add something to that? I think the most impressive thing that
was perfect.
Please.
Not allowed.
I think 3-3 had like losing matchups in all 3 games, but he like dominated his lane. He played the Visage against the Bristle, the Beast against the Naga, and the Tai against Punch Leech, I think. Like, I think that was like super impressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he actually dominated his lane, like a super free farm.
Yeah, the Visage one, like they destroyed Secret in the lane, but Secret realized they needed to like kind of feed to get back in. But by feeding, they also fell quite far behind. Like they needed levels. I think Puppy sacrificed himself a few times for that lane to survive, and it looked really bad, I guess, after that.
So Tundra playing on another level. Yeah, Kips, break down more of what Tundra did on the other level.
I mean, on the other level, like I just wanted to say that I think that Team Liquid had the worst matchup against Team Secret in that lower bracket final, but I also think that if Liquid would have made it past Secret, they probably would have actually given us some fireworks in that final, because Liquid has a lot of map knowledge on board as well as that putting Matu down, like with the strong 33 lane, would not have had nearly as much impact as putting down the Crystallis lane, because Matu knows what it's like to, get pushed down and just get back up again. And Crystallis, as much as he's shown like incredible improvement during this tournament, Mans was not ready. This was his first TI.
Yeah,
That's what- I was going to say. Sure, you take it. You take it. All yours, Noxville.
Don't fight, kids. Don't fight. Papa's here.
It's really interesting, given what Kip said about the matchups, in that if Secret beat Tundra in one more game in the upper bracket finals, then surely we would have said Secret would have, and then Liquid had a favorable matchup against Tundra, we could have seen a completely different TI. So it really is interesting to talk about like the individual matchups between the teams, because one game could have changed TI. I mean, obviously that's like a silly thing to say, like one game can obviously change the tournaments, but yeah, it would have been really interesting had Secret won that game number 2 against Tundra, and that was the Chaos Knight game where we realized Skitter's Chaos Knight is it's not a joke. Sorry, interrupt.
I don't even remember what I was going to ask. It's gone. Noxville has removed it from my brain.
Mm.
No, I think one of the things we talked about with Secret coming out of the LCQ and the reason that they had started to do well but hadn't made it into TI originally was that they didn't have as strong of a carry, and they had needed to sort of change the way their roles had kind of worked. And so I think one of the things we talked about on the very first episode was Team Secret's really reliant on a very specific set of circumstances happening, and Tundra shut those down. Am I remembering correctly? Is this the right summary? That feels like it was a year ago at this point. TI felt very long this year.
I think you're pretty much on the money here. I do also think that Chrysalis really stepped it up throughout the tournament, and that the finals was almost like a reversion for him. Like he finally, flowered, came into full bloom as like a carry, and then Tundra was like, no, you take that back, and just stuffed him back in.
Sorry, it's a very entertaining image to kind of think about. I want to take a step back and think about momentum, right? So we're talking about Team Secret had to fight their way all the way through the LCQ. Crystalis improved, learned throughout the tournament, developed, and it propels Secret all the way to the grand finals. Tundra came into this tournament having placed last place in the previous major, probably last in Riyadh. I don't know how many teams were there. It was like 7th, 8th in Riyadh, so not particularly well. That's out of 10. So they didn't do well there. They were also coming in as slight underdogs. And that's what he says, the defense against the Dark Arts curse. Is it mentality? We'll start with Adam. We're gonna do Adam and Ponlo for this question.
Mm-hmm.
Is mentality what is cursing the teams that are doing well heading in, right? And this is where Tundra and Secret have less expectations, so more ability to perform. Is it momentum in that they start doing well, so they keep doing well? Or is it that they lost a ton and figured out what they lost to and learned a lot more by losing, and the favorites don't lose, so they don't learn? E.g.
You can go first, Paul.
Me?
Yeah. Before Ben interrupts you. Hurry up.
Yeah.
I need to put a disclaimer here. Yes, I haven't been to a TI. Yes, I'm not good enough. Shut up.
Alice Kun. Shout out to Alice Kun.
I think it's definitely like when you think you're supposed to win. I think there are moments in the game where, like, you see maybe a bad fight is happening, or your teammate like chain fed a bit, or you chain fed a bit, and then in those moments you feel a crack in your mind, like there's sort of a crack, like in the, I don't know what's the word, in Matrix, in the whatever. But I think when you're behind, when you're losing, or when you're not as confident, and you're more so always on the process of trying to figure out your heroes and trying to figure out a way that works for your team, I think you're much more focused on the process of making the Dota better than the top teams. But I also think that Tundra, even though they came in, they didn't come in as the favorites, right? I think everyone still expected them to place pretty high, and I think in some way they did exceed expectations because everyone expects the strong teams to not do well, right? The teams that come in as favorites to not do well. Like even though they got last place at last major, like I don't think anyone would say like that they were gonna be a bad team at TI. I think everyone like expected like them
I'm
to
sorry,
be pretty good.
Ponlo. What did you say? What was your prediction about Tundra again? Remind us. You know, it was about 15 minutes ago. Remind us again.
I think Tundra was gonna play good Dota, but after watching Snaking talk in their vlogs, I thought that this guy was not gonna be a leader for them, and I thought that their team dynamic was gonna be super out of whack, because you have a bunch of geniuses on that team. Like 33 is a genius. Like Saksa in his own way is also a genius player, and then Snaking is like. He's like trying to convince them that it's fine that they lost, and then his keyboard falls off out of his bag, and then all his keys scatter on the floor, and then he's like, "Yeah, it's okay, guys, it's okay." I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of him or anything, but it just didn't give me the vibe that this guy is like some super charismatic leader that is gonna like step up and show up at TI and be like, "Okay, guys, listen to me. Last game not good game, but next game new game." You know, like puppy. You know.
So is that your puppy impression?
Yeah, that
Yes.
was.
Thinking the captain of the team.
On paper he is, but according to their interview or whatever, he's responsible for helping the team get back on their feet after a loss. He's the one that will push the positivity and shit like that, you know,
he's
and
lit.
like remind them.
I
Yeah,
don't know what people do in their teams.
yeah, I don't know, but based on the interviews, that's all I can see. What were we even talking about? I don't remember.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Ponlo's vote is that lack of pressure allows teams to succeed.
For sure.
Right. Adam,
For sure.
what is your vote for why the favorites suck usually?
I feel like this TI specifically, there wasn't really a favorite. I think a lot of the
LGD.
teams going in,
Come on.
LGD was not. There's no way they felt like the
Yeah,
favorite. They
they were
like
not.
lost like 3 weeks of scrims before TI, and they're like,
Okay.
they should be goddamn happy with top 4, like based on like what happened, right? Like, I would feel that way. Like you're learning, right? I think that's what like made it for Secret and Liquid. They got to play like they're playing for their lives. Maybe it doesn't matter so much. They're playing Dota as best as they can for like 60 fucking games in a row. And you know, you're just so tuned in.
Yeah.
Like I think LCQ, Secret, and Liquid, I could not picture them making it out of group stage, or like they'll be like at the bottom, you know. But they played LCQ, they like improved. Like you could see like Secret and Liquid, they like improved, you know. And then they go into group stage and they're like still improving. And then playoffs, they're like, wow, tier 1 team, beast teams, you know. And it was like very pleasant to watch, but I think it's like mainly because of they got to play as many games as they could, and I think it's kind of weird. I think I don't know. It feels weird to me that like 2 teams can play so many games compared to like the rest of the teams. Pressure. I'm not sure if maybe new players. Yes. I can't really say much. I've only been to like 1 TI, but I know that TI like we had like no expectations. I don't know how it feels for other teams. I think it's just. I think things like being pressured and nervous, like if you play Dota and you're focused when the game actually starts, like maybe before you walk onto stage and shit, you're like kind of nervous, you know. But once you're like in the game, like there's no way you're thinking about these things. I think there's actually no way. Dota's so
I
like
was
brain
playing Lich.
hungry.
Remember that game against EG in the when I was still on Quincy. I was thinking about all these things while I was playing the lane.
Why though? Like how? I don't know. Like, I can't really picture that, but I guess it does happen to like some people.
I think
Yeah, it was not good.
one way of thinking about it is that like the things that determine what we call the favorites are like a large amount of data, but it's like constantly changing. So it's like the reason we think LGD are good is because a combination of how well they do within their region, which is against teams they understand and they're constantly scrimming against, combined with their performance on an international stage where sure they play a lot more teams, but it's like there has to be some team that's at the top. But the reason that TI is so special is that so much changes so quickly both in terms of the game, like we had a patch before the tournament. We had, including then the meta game on top of that, which is like reactions to the shifts in the game and how people are playing it. And then even on top of that is like the psychology and the mentality of all the pressure that Ponlo and Adam are talking about, or lack thereof for some teams. So it's hardly surprising that, you know, even when we say that a team is the favorites from a public perception, maybe they have a 30% or 25% chance from an outsider's perspective to win. There's still a 75% chance that they don't win, you know? So I don't think it's that surprising that we haven't had a winner that's a favorite for such a long time, because every year we've seen that, like with OG, with Spirit, it was all about the mentality. For Tundra, I think it was sort of like the confidence that just pushed him through. Like, if you watch those interviews, you almost feel like they're on drugs or something. They're like, yeah, lane was kind of easy, just destroyed them. You know, like if you see the discussions that they have with the players after the game, with their coaches, it just seems easy. So, yeah, maybe we're seeing a shift away from like the friendship and the teamwork and the morale towards just being ruthless and confident, like Tundra have been. But ultimately, yeah, I don't think it's surprising we haven't seen a winner do well, favorite to become a winner. But overall, I think the level of competition at this TI was closer than any other TI. We saw way more series that went 1-1 in the group stage. And when it came to the playoffs, that's when the learning had kind of stopped for some teams, and that's why we saw so many 2-0s. Because it was just like, from a draft perspective, the teams understood each other and they knew how they were going to play, and it was very clear who was going to win. And there were upsets. Absolutely, there were upsets. But if you look back now at some of them, I think that there's a reasonable analysis for a lot of these series that we saw. And most of the upsets, I think, were also on day one. Looking back, as from everyday Kips, myself, Adam, and Skim, and I don't think Ponlo did, but we all made predictions, and it just felt that like the predictions became much easier as we were going through the tournament. Obviously, we have more information, but also like the teams are kind of falling into place more naturally, and it's easier to make the correct predictions because of that.
Yeah, day one was a massacre.
Yeah,
just left Reinessa out, man.
Oh yeah.
Hey, okay, I didn't make serious predictions though.
That's true.
I made like
swimming up
what
tide.
I did every single time. I was like, no, what do I want to happen? That was I refused to go, what do I think will happen? I went, what do I want to happen? That was my prediction every time.
I suddenly thought of something. Do you guys think that Tundra would have won if there was no 5-day break?
Yes.
I actually think the 5-day break benefited them a lot more than the other teams. Because of the kind of team that they are.
I feel like the thing that amazed me about Tundra the most is that I think a lot of people feel like they play the map super well and they made their meta and stuff, but I think they like sat down and like they made a way to enable like their whole hero pool. Like they're not like playing stuff that they don't usually play, you know, but they're drafting in a way where their heroes enable each other like so much, and the way they like look at the map and play the game is like very, very specific to that team of players. If you get what I mean, like Skitter playing his CK Naga, 3-3 playing his heroes, you know, and 9 like on his runaround boy. Like they're not playing like weird heroes except sneaking maybe, but pos 5, you know, who cares?
Yeah.
Well, and what we talked about before the grand finals day was Secret's success would come a lot from whether or not Puppy changed his plan or kept beating his head against the wall with the same plan. And what did we see? And I don't think any 5-day break would with or without that would have changed the way Secret approached that game. Like Tundra played super well, right? But we can't deny that Secret has the skill to beat them if they had a different game plan. But did they?
Secret also had to like prepare for a liquid, right? So it was like some 2. So in that sense, I would think the 5-day break would benefit the teams that have to play 2 series since they have much more time to prepare.
Oh yeah.
At least draft wise, I think play wise, it's kind of hard because like we one game at a time. Sometimes it's just the safer step to take. But yeah,
Like, Adam, do you remember what happened to me on our double game day?
you just slept, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I
while
saw you at
guys
like
were
8
picking the
in the
second
morning.
series.
8
Yeah.
in the morning, you're like, here's the stats, guys. I'm gonna sleep.
Crash.
I'm just gonna come
remember.
out and say, man, Secret Tundra was just an offlane diff, man. 3-0, easy game.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
think
I feel
so.
like
I mean,
I guess so. I mean, 3-3 like offlane diff like the everyone in the fucking tournament, but like I bring back to Secret, like Nisha kind of mid diffed like the whole tournament too, So I think
And
kinda
then
bad.
mine is just like I guess I just don't want to play mid. Then I just play some some fun heroes. I mean,
We've talked a
Rezo.
lot.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
yeah,
we've
it's fine.
talked a lot, like Tundra's macro game, enabling their whole hero pool, picking a gameplay style rather than an OP hero. Okay, almost every other TI, we've come out of it being like, this hero is broken, this hero is stupid, this needs to be nerfed. This may be happening here, and I'm just not seeing it in the discussions that I'm in, right? But it felt like this wasn't a hero-centric TI. Right? It wasn't that Death Prophet was controlling everything, or that Leshrac was, or that IO. I mean, like, how many grand finals have we had that are determined by an IO? Like, what was the hero this time that
The hero
people
was
would be talking about?
respect.
The hero was
Yeah,
respect, yeah.
exactly.
No, like Lesh is totally stupid and totally broken, and it took one hell of a team to beat Lesh 3 times. But I do think that like Tundra beating Lesh with Naga should have been like a sign to Team Secret that they were looking in the wrong direction for their solutions, because Lesh is busted. If you come away from this thinking like, oh, it lost 3 times in the grand final, so it's not good. It's like I wish you good luck in your pubs because it's gonna be a fun time.
But to be honest, right, in that game, the game one, right, where they picked 18 Naga into Lash, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, I think Rezo's build on the Enigma was just complete hot garbage.
What
And I
you
think
buy?
Secret should have won that game. He bought like
yes.
Arcanes into Blink Dagger into Aga Shard into Aetherlands BKB or something.
Rezo, you're talking about the offline difference, and I don't want to hate on Rezo at all, but like the
will.
last day, his item builds were like, it was like he was having a stroke halfway through the game, and he just switched his itemization up. He had half an item in his inventory, bought something else, and then I don't know. I think the tension was getting to him.
No, I'm gonna defend him a bit. I feel like he had like rough lanes in a lot of these
Oh, yeah.
games, and usually he does better, I think. And then like I watched the replays and like his post forward kind of like goes mid, walks around, and like usually Tundra has a ward like seeing him or something, and he's just kind of playing recovery. And then I think 2 games he's playing like offlane Lash, he has Bloodstone or something, but the team's kind of like they're not ready to like group together. I also feel like game 1, I think it wasn't the Naga Lash, but like their draft was like very, very specifically targeted. Like this Tusk Hoodwing, like anyone that shows on the map dies.
Mhm.
And then they pick like this Naga and this unkillable TIE Hunter, and the lanes are just always in your face and you have to show. And I feel like most of the games, lanes played quite a part, and then Secret were like doing okay. And then like Ponlo said, Tundra's macro game was just kind of better. Like their smokes were
Yeah.
really, really, really good.
But that's exactly what I mean, though, Adam. It's like the fact that the Lesh never gets to actually fight the Naga means that the Naga beats the Lesh, not that there's something about that hero match, because it wasn't a matchup at all.
I get you.
Okay,
I
fair
want to
enough.
say if there is an MVP hero, I'm gonna just say it's Mirana. But mostly not because of the hero itself. Like this is not a tournament. Like this is not like Leshrac from TI5 or something. This is just the hero was used so well by Tundra. And in addition to this, they had so many heroes that were like Mirana, but were higher priority bans. So Mirana made it through so much. And it provided, like, the way in which they used it was so effective. Throughout the tournament, they only used it twice in the grand finals. But snaking was just a god in this. Like, I think some games you watch and you're just like, what is he doing? You don't like it's one of those heroes where his movements and his actions are harder to analyze, and maybe you need someone who you need a pro player like Ponlo or Adam to take you through why the psychology of why he's doing something, why is he making this movement at this time. But from a newbie perspective, it's kind of like magic what he does on this hero. And in the tournament, I mean, Storm Spirit and Mirana, Brood, Nyx Assassin, and Naga Siren were like the top heroes in terms of win rates. And those, with the exception of Nyx Assassin, which was way more of a Zayat's hero, everything else is like just reeks of Tundra. So it's like the Mirana, lots of teams try to use and try to emulate, but just for Tundra, it seemed godlike. Or maybe for Western European teams, they had a much better understanding of the Mirana and how to use it successfully. So I'm going to give the MVP to the Mirana and the Wraith Pact. Cheers.
So, hey, Ponlo, do you think that these teams all just made the dumbest decision ever by not picking Bounty Hunter Tinker? What an OP combo, right? You could just rocket everybody who's tracked. Super easy. That's that, right?
To be fair, the Tinker and the Bounty Hunter were separate ideas, okay? I'm not that dumb. But I mean, I genuinely don't know why these two heroes didn't appear much. The only thing I can think of is maybe for Bounty, it's a bit too easy to counter in terms of you just pick a debuff, you pick LC Abba and it just screws with the game too much. I can understand that part, but the Tinker one I still don't get, to be honest. And I'm not sure.
I mean,
maybe and the Tinker team just didn't make it far. I don't know.
I was gonna say
LGD made it pretty far.
LGD made it far,
but not far enough. Top 5.
Were they gonna pick it against
Not far enough.
I think they would pick it against the team that is not expecting it. Whereas they've played it before. I think Nothing to Say has played it within China. So I think those teams, of all of the teams, a Chinese team is the one that they would not pick it against. So LGD lost against Secret, and then they they go through the lower bracket and they match up against Asta, and then they lose. I think if they played against Liquid, it might have come out. You need the right matchup, right? So there's certain heroes that you don't want to pick it against. There's certain teams you don't want to pick it against. I think it's like a perfect storm. You need the right conditions for it to happen. And I don't know who else we said might pick it. It was Nothing to Say was the key offender in that, and there just wasn't a good time.
You don't know the Whisper Tinker.
I don't know the Whisper Tinker.
Whisper Tinker.
Whisper as a
100 ping. Easy game.
Yeah.
Everything
no cares.
Anyway.
No cares. Yeah, but still fucking hard to play, man.
LGD has such a shit tournament though. Yeah.
I wish we had more content with players and teams like previous TIs. I know we're talking gameplay and everything. I think the next thing we got to talk about is the juicy stuff that people care about, the roster changes, the upcoming tournament leaks that we've seen. But I did want to say just a quick thing here is every other TI, we've had these long, in-depth player interviews that would highlight something like a Whisper Tinker specialty or how annoying it is to somebody else because they'd bring it up. That would highlight the fact that we had 2 South American teams in the top 6, right? I'm not making that up. That happened.
Their profiles.
Yeah. Oh, no. One in the top 6, one in the top 8.
Top 6, 1 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
they had to fight each other.
Yeah. All those things I felt like we really missed out on this TI. We had a lot less content. And I think that's a bummer because we did see a more even field that was fighting for more. And I would have loved to see more players highlighted so that we could learn what are their signature heroes? What do they harass people with in pubs? Who's the secret bounty spammer that Ponlo can get behind next year? So
yeah, they also recycled the content quite a bit. If you watch, I don't know if you watched from anyone from the Kips, Adam or Ponlo watched, but the stream that much. But it was during the 5 days they kind of obviously filmed a lot of the matchups that were possible, but the amount of content they filmed wasn't really that much. So there was one segment that they played for Secret talking, let's say, or Asta talking about Liquid, and then Liquid talking about Aston, that was great because they only matched up once. But when it became Secret talking about Tundra or Liquid, the three of them, they just recycled the content. So it was like they had like one clip which was like 3 or 4 minutes long that they used, and they used it on day 1 and day 2 of the the finals days. So there was like, yeah, you're watching the grand finals and you're watching game 1 and it's like, okay, a little bit disappointing. Now you're watching the content as the filler between it, and it's something you've already watched, and you're just like, they had 5 days. They could have had like, even though the teams are going to be like, no, we need to practice, we need all the time. Even if they had like 5 hours with each team over, 5 days, they could have filmed something better than this. And I felt that this was like a huge like disappointment. The content was really, really lackluster. And I think throughout the tournament, the content was okay. But it definitely wasn't what I would say is great. Really
just felt like a disservice.
Yeah.
One of the big things about TI is that it can build a player's career by giving them a personality that we never have a chance to experience otherwise. And that made me, I mean, congrats to Tundra. Awesome for them. I've said a lot of negative things about TI that I don't need to dive into. That's great. But like, I wish I knew more about these players. This is the first TI where I'm like a little clueless about who anybody is. And I thought that was
it was damn boring. When they won, it was so boring. Like
it was kind of funny though, because they were like, I feel like we have more games to play, like that felt like a pub. Like, where's my next game? And I was like, wow, the shade. Like, that's so
where's the
aggressive.
finals?
I mean, I think compared to a lot of other TIs, the quality of Dota was a bit lower this year. Not like every game, but I think overall, the previous TIs were kind of closer, maybe. I don't mean like playoffs. I mean like just overall.
I disagree. I think that the matchups made some of the playoff games boring. But let's just discount. Let's say the first day of playoffs, maybe first day and half of the second day or something were boring. But all other Dota was amazing until the grand finals. I felt like maybe not technically as great as some other TIs.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, I'm not really the person to judge. But from an enjoyment perspective, I felt that the tournament was amazing. From the actual, just the gameplay. Everything else, there were issues. But, yeah, if I could just remove 1.5 days of the tournament, otherwise the gameplay was amazing. And that includes the, second half of the LCQ. The first half of the LCQ, which is not even part of TI, like, no one's debating this, not even Slacks. But yeah, the first half of the LCQ was when we had the first podcast, and that was the point when we were like, okay, maybe the winners of the LCQ will go medium. At that point in time, that was when Secret and Liquid started turning it up, and from that moment on, it felt like all of the games were just super. Everyone could win, super close, very enjoyable. There were no matches I just went into thinking, this is done deal. Even the top teams. The only thing which was disappointing, I have to put a little star next to it, is RNG after they got COVID. Because every game after that was that just disappointed me so much. Yeah, I blame Ponlo. Ponlo's actually patient zero in that situation.
No, I
mean, Ponlo got COVID 2 weeks before TI, and then he's in Singapore. Just saying.
Bruh.
And he went up to Kaka and Xnova, and he gave them a big group hug, and we all know how that turned out.
I think I agree with Ben. I think the games were actually like pretty good until the finals, but I also think there were certain teams that were just missing, right? Like LGD felt like they were missing this TI.
I don't feel like the games were not entertaining. I feel like the quality of Dota was lower. Like there were more mistakes than like we usually see at TIs. Does that make sense?
Those are two different things.
I feel like
things,
there are
Adam.
always a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, there's always a lot of mistakes. Like I think that the quality of gameplay from Tundra was amazing. One of their opponent was not. That made for a very boring final. I think that you need both teams to either be like at the top of their game, or both teams to be like sort of in the middle and dropping the ball here and there in order to have like good viewing experience. So those are two very different things.
Liquid and Thunder wasn't like super clean, right? But it was like insane series to watch, I think. And
Exactly.
the Entity series as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Entity
I'm
versus
talking about
RNG.
like the Dota gameplay, not the like viewing experience.
Yeah.
Like, the viewing experience was fine.
My favorite game was still the LGD versus Beast Coast. So in Game 3, where Ame just decided to show everyone why people like him as a player. And he was on the Sven, and he just did things. So yeah, I mean, and those were two teams that ultimately, one of them lost then and one lost in the next round. So not even two of the top teams, not even top 4. Top 4.
Well, we talked a lot about gameplay. We talked a lot about TI. We promised other things, right? Roster changes, upcoming tournaments. Beast Coast, as we're sitting here talking, has literally announced their new roster. So that is out and up. Yeah, we've got, Sonics dropped their roster. Matu has retired. OG announced that Amara is being moved to the inactive roster and is available potentially for negotiations. Who knows what that means? There's been a ton. There's a Gosu Gamers rumor about where the majors are going to be next year. Everybody's talking about a Seattle-based TI. What's your favorite, Ben? What's your favorite one? Your favorite piece of news? What do you want to dive into and what it's going to mean for Dota next year?
Did you say Ben or Bean?
Ben.
I'm going to take it as Ben.
Who's Bean? One of us would be Bean.
Probably
I'm
okay. I think what's really interesting is the Matu retirement because it was something we all
How
spoke
is
about.
retirement interesting, man? What the hell?
Just listen, hear me out. Because what it means is that we're gonna have to see a Western Europe, like Liquid are a big org. Liquid are an org which is gonna want to stay in Dota. They had a really good TI. So what it's gonna mean is I'm really interested to see what happens to that roster moving forward. Because
I know their
they
roster.
did very well together. Are we gonna see who's gonna take the place? I'm a big Zai fan. I felt that this was a tournament where Mickey went from someone who was like a carry forced into mid, and this was a tournament where he was, that was what the Liquid squad was when Matsu joined. And this tournament, he really showed that he was super competent mid, really impressed. This was also a tournament where Boxy went from just like an offlaner that was forced into support. This was like the tournament where he was like a super, super good support. He was the MVP for so many games for Liquid. So I'm just interested to see, is the Liquid squad going to stay together and just get a replacement carry, or is it going to be a big shuffle? Are there going to be big changes? That to me is like one of the most exciting things. But yeah, if I had to pick something, that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, because at least from my perspective, it's something that I know the least about. I've heard a lot of the rumors in other areas, so I can't talk about all of those, but this is the one thing I haven't heard anything about, how that's gonna shake out.
Didn't Blitz tweet after they lost? He's just like looking for a carry and mid.
Yeah, but I also thought that was quite humorous. I wasn't sure if that was
maybe.
He did tweet that he's looking forward to cryptic tweets about team signings. So
yeah.
That's true. I miss the riddle leaks, the leaks that you had to work for, not this guy's going here.
Yeah. The other thing is, when he tweeted any carry or mid players, my DMs are open above 11k, I wasn't sure if that just means they need one and then Mickey will take the other role.
I get you.
I'm pretty sure that is it.
Yeah. So I'm just interested to see what happens there, who they manage to poach or how the team turns out. Like I said, I'm a huge Zai fan. Zai needs to win a TI.
I do agree with that. Zai does need to win a TI. That was what was giving me every time I picked Liquid in a matchup. It was a Zai pick. So I'm with you there. Kips, what's your interesting one to follow? We're gonna make Ponlo stew over there since he hated Noxville so much.
How can you pick your retirement? Oh my god.
So interesting.
I am interested in possible upcoming region swaps of brands. I saw Loda all over TI. And if you want to shop EU teams, then the ones that made it far are probably out of your budget. So you shouldn't have been here. And I think that means that he was looking for something else. So very curious to see what's been in his shopping cart. And I think in general that after this TI essay is a hot commodity. And I would not be surprised to see a lot of people looking at the value proposition over there.
Fair. I mean, Beast Coast just announced their roster. Some of it is the same. Some of it is different. So Sacred coming in to carry, coming in for offlane is different. And then...
And Dark Mago
Very
is
hyped
coming.
for Dark Mago.
Oh, yeah.
Dark
Yeah.
Mago is so good.
I mean, yeah. I
Feels
the
like the
whole
same
Thunder
team to me, to
Awakens-
be honest.
That's
Like,
Same game plan. Yeah.
I mean, they just got a better mid and then have a worse offlane. Like, plus minus.
Yeah,
Is it
that's
because they don't
surprising.
have Whisper Tinker anymore? Is that why?
I mean, I think
Whisper
Whisper
is just
was
a
one of the best.
Whisper. Whisper is just a god tier player. Actually,
Offensively good.
he's one of like the undisputed god tier players of Dota. I think like among like the I wouldn't say it's like
know him.
yeah like all the pro players. Like when I talk to pro players, right, people say like Miracles, Sumail, blah blah blah. Just a little below that is Whisper. You know, even though his team hasn't won anything, but just a little bit below that. Yeah, you can't put Whisper and Miracle on the same level, man. That's just like offensive to Miracle, right?
So where's
right
Whisper
now I would
going?
say it's offensive to Whisper.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
isn't Whisper in that new what's that
Oh.
EG thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know anything.
Yeah,
I-
Ponlo doesn't know.
I thought it was gonna be like EG Saberlight, to be honest, for like a few days, for like a week.
Well, I mean, the
Because
current
I-
rumor is that the Saberlight's going to form Cloud9 with some other people. That's
Yeah.
the current rumor.
So-
So Cloud9 are coming back and can leak that. So I think everyone has spoken about that.
I mean, I just saw Saberlight hanging with a few evil geniuses. A lot.
yeah.
Okay, maybe not a few, just a particular one. But I mean,
Which
I
one,
thought that
though?
was pretty. The one with the cap.
It's a Bulba.
I wonder who that is.
Yeah.
Dude,
He didn't even have
For
to
the
say.
view-
I was like,
for the
I know
viewers
who
out
the
there,
biggest
it's Bulba.
fiend is on EG.
Yeah, we all
That's who's
do.
No,
always hovering around.
you know,
him.
I was so confused how no one had leaked it yet. I was like,
The Sam
dude,
talks to everyone though.
no, but they're literally hanging out like so much throughout the week, right? Like the 5-day break.
Wait,
like, I
Ponlo,
bumped
did
it-
you say you're confused how no one has licked him yet?
Leaked.
No,
Leaked.
Leaked it.
Got
They
it.
leaked
Had to
it.
check.
Oh.
Like they're always hanging out at the lounge at like freaking like Clark Key, like at the bars, like in public, you know, like, and there's like so many Dota people that go there, like fans and shit. So I was surprised that no one on Reddit was like typing like, "Oh guys, I think it's gonna be EG Shamrock," for like 1 week. So and then I don't know. Now I hear that EG is dropping their entire roster, and like I feel kind of bad for Boba. Feels bad, man. He didn't tell me anything. I don't know anything.
Ponlo,
we
what's
might
your
not have
exciting one then?
known.
What do you know? What are you excited by? What's better than Ben's?
Where are you going,
Beans,
Ponlo?
apparently.
Paul, I'm gonna flame whatever you choose, so just go for it.
Where are you going, Ponlo? Which region? Which part of the
Which
world?
region? It's probably Europe.
Probably.
Okay.
Probably as
Yeah,
in you
but-
don't know where's the region, or if you don't know you're in the team.
Yeah, I need to look at Google Maps. Give me a sec.
Oh my god.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it's just things are still, you know, moving.
Okay, but what's your
Yeah.
exciting
Anyway.
one, Ponlo?
But anyway, like what I find the most exciting of this shuffle is the ATF thing actually.
Dude, how can
Like-
you talk about someone leaving a team being that
You're excited because he left.
Yeah, he's so excited.
No,
He got the
guys,
boot.
he didn't leave.
Sounds an awful lot like Matsu leaving Liquid to
No,
me. I don't know.
What?
who told you guys that he left?
Well, OG said that he's been moved to an inactive member of the team and he is available for trade or purchase.
I mean, that doesn't mean he left.
Okay.
mean, it does. It just doesn't
We're
say
just
whether it was
using kind
voluntary or
words.
forceful.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard. Wait, let me think about what I'm gonna say.
I'm proud of you that you stop yourself.
For the viewers who are tuning in right now, this is LGD Ame fan, aka Ponlo.
No, from what I heard throughout like the past season, right, is that OG were not vibing with Ama anymore. Like even like before they played TI, and it's interesting to me because it's like 6 months ago, everyone's like ATF is like the new gen. He's like the god, you know. He plays like his heroes so well. Icerock literally has to come out of retirement. He has to go to office and type in new patch notes to nerf ATF every 3 months. Like that's actually what happened, you know. I saw it. I saw Icerock. But I just find it so interesting that a player like that, he's so insanely talented in his own way, and he performed too early in the year, and he literally got punished by it millions of dollars. Dude.
It was 3-3 for 90% of the year.
Yes, exactly. Actually, like if he just hit in his little shell and just came out for TI, right?
It's like, guys, I don't want to win now.
They might have won TI, no joke. Like he was so good, and the fact that OG.
That's why the favorites don't win TI, because they get patched out of being the favorites.
Yeah.
That's the answer from the question before.
They get nerfed. It's so sad.
I mean,
It's actually so sad for him.
But wasn't Tundra like a favorite for last TI if they only would have attended? Like,
were they?
That was just copium. That was just
I think it's not true, because when they like lost qualifiers, right, and then I think ESL happened after TI, and then they won ESL. But I think that's hard to like equate that if they went to TI they would do well.
No, I think they were the favorites for the qualifiers, but they were not favorites for TI. I don't think.
No, there were people. There was definitely some copium. I'm not going to mention which professor it was. But there was like if this team goes to TI, they would win TI. Like, I mean, it's not a flame. I think there was a lot of hype around them, and we had the same thing where we said teams that do well in the LCQ, we expect to come like middle of the pack or upper part of the pack maybe. And it turns out they did much better than we expected. But I think that being the other way around is like undervaluing them is, you know, also totally reasonable, or thinking that everyone else is undervaluing them. I think it's reasonable to expect them to do well, but to win TI, I think was like just one step too far. No flames to Professor Zahan.
No, they dominated most of the early part of the year as well. Like I think it's very impressive how they secured their own qualification and then just quietly stepped back. Like, if you look at the meta game, that's definitely whether that's on purpose or not, I think there's something to learn there.
What was the year that Secret just didn't play in the first round of DPC because they were like, nope, doesn't matter. And they wanted to relax. They didn't want to have to grind the entire year, so they just skipped the first event. Was that 2 or 3 years ago at this point? It was one of those.
That was I feel the year when VP had 10,000 points. So that would be the 2017-2018 season, I think. Maybe not. Maybe I think it was that, because Secret, like, VP got like 12,000 points, and like there was 9 times the amount that team number 9 got, and 9, you know, there were 8 teams that also qualified for TI that year. So
yeah,
I think that was the year. The Ace mid one Yapsol puppy part of the year.
Yeah, because that ended up being a strategy. Was you don't play the whole year, right? Like play what you only absolutely need to play, so that you can head into TI.
It was also a super major year, right? Like the majors behind gave more points, I think.
Yeah, they were scaled. All right, Adam, what's your most exciting roster rumor, roster announcement, news, etc.?
Oh no!
I'll whisper you guys. Most
see.
exciting news. I think I'm just excited that people are like flying all over the world to play, kinda. At least from what I heard, I might be like completely wrong. I also don't really like. I haven't really been talking to anyone other than Ponlo, so like.
So you know what's happening in Aster Aries.
Say stuff. Yeah.
But Asteris is not happening when there's no Asteris.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, for now at least.
Oh, Ponlo's just. Oh, let's take it back a step. So you're saying
let
Adam,
me just drop the T.
Adam, so you're saying there's a lot of cross-regional movements, lots of teams.
There's
playing
quite a few.
like-
There's very interesting cross-regional movement. I'll put it that way.
Alright, I think I can leak
Um,
something.
Yes. Ponlo's like yes.
Yeah, Ponlo, take 5 seconds to think first.
Yeah, confirm that.
The thing is, I don't know this. I don't know this. Like, I just heard whispers, but I don't know it. You know?
Okay, just leak the rumor. Just rumor.
I wasn't
just leak
told
it.
this by any reliable source.
Okay, then you have no responsibility to anyone. Just
You
leak
gotta
it
tell
away.
us who's the source so we know if it's reliable or not.
But the guy in charge of the roster might get mad at me. Okay, I heard. I think.
I know I'm
You know
gonna
how-
say it, but it's not cool, man. Ian's
No,
gonna kill you.
Ignore Adam.
I can't say anymore. I can't say anymore. Adam just ruined it.
Oh my god.
Adam
What?
just ruined my
Tease.
source. Adam ruined my source. He leaked it. He leaked my source. My informant.
Alright. Wait, so you said the person will kill you? Okay, so it's definitely Nico Baby. Definitely
No,
Nico Baby. He'll kill you.
I think that Talon is making a Thai roster.
Okay.
I think.
That'd be rad.
There's only like
And-
15 high players.
And there's only like. There's only one
I mean,
off-lane.
it's the
off-lane
motivate
you
trust
can think of.
people, right? What?
I-
Masaru?
Okay,
mean,
I'm gonna just look up every
I don't
Thai
know.
player. We got
I mean, you
23
just
Savage.
it's like motivate
Pretty
trust,
well.
right? Pretty much.
No, I know I know that Paul said Fnatic were gonna run it back, right? But I don't know what that actually means. Does it actually mean that they're staying together? I don't know.
That would
But I heard that.
They're forming like their what Kips was it that 4th place? Was TI6 their 4th place? So they're either like running it back to
Or-
their 4th place. Yeah.
That mean I have a job again.
Or they're keeping the same roster, right? Like
All
that's the
the-
only
All I'm saying is 23, this guy probably has a lot of offers. And
Mm.
for Talon to keep him, they kinda need to like do what he wants, in a way. In regards to roster. And for them to enable Q, who speaks like very little English, and he's Thai. 23 is Thai, Q is Thai. They just kicked KP and Hyatt. Like, who's the offlane?
I'll
For Fnatic, he's
contribute a bit to this league, okay? From what
yes.
I know,
Yes, Adam.
Trade Tree's not playing in Thailand.
Ooh.
I mean, he's not playing with the Thai team.
Then who the fuck is
So-
Talon getting? They just lost everyone.
I mean, that's just what I heard. Like,
Why haven't I gotten a message from Talon, man? Hello?
Lakel's is coming
Gonna
up.
play
with
carry?
something.
European Google mapping. All right, focus here.
But, I mean, maybe we should talk about the last thing which just got leaked. What do you think? The majors? Who's
Yes,
interested about?
that's the one I have up. The Gosu Gamers
one-
tweet
Yeah, that
that-
one's pretty spicy.
that's got Peru, Indonesia, and Poland for next year's majors.
Mhm.
I can say the thing I'm most interested about to know about. Okay, not to go to, but the thing I have no inside information on this type of stuff, but I'm interested to hear where in Poland it is because I've been to Katowice a few times, and I mean, there's some good places to drink in Katowice. There's a wonderful street. I've got lots of memories.
I remember. I have the
Says
pictures.
Katowice, right? Like the article says it's Katowice in it.
Oh, it doesn't. I didn't
Yeah.
even see that. Okay.
Interesting.
Well,
So it says it'll
I
be
didn't-
Lima, which would make sense because that's where the final round or whatever that $50,000 Peru
the
tournament
final
was.
match. The
Final
final
match.
match.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I think
So that was
Gareth
in
caused
Lima.
that. Remember that.
Yeah. And then Bali, Indonesia for the last one.
Oh, Bali. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
That'll
I-
match with what I've heard.
okay. Well, I mean, the Katowice, I can definitely put out a guide on some of the highlights places to go to in that city.
Just follow me on
Are
TikTok.
they all bars, Knoxville? Are there any that aren't bars?
No.
Like
There's a really
karaoke?
good. Over the road from the Katowice Arena is a pierogi restaurant, which is pretty good. There's another 2 food places, and then the rest are bars. There's also a gas station which is open and has a reliable source of ice. So
Travel round the world, venture
Yeah.
to Katowice, and enjoy the wonderful gas station.
gas station. Yeah, that gas station successfully allowed myself, Kyle, and a
Ringo.
couple other fellas. Yeah, Ringo to host the after party with sponsored by Krupnik Vodka. It was really good.
Okay. We're gonna round up this after party, I think. You know, we'll let Noxville maybe write that guide later, you know, depending on the reliability of these leaks, of course.
I got pictures.
Oh my God. If we let
course he
Knoxville
does.
start posting pictures, you'll literally be here for 4 hours. The man
Yeah,
has an
true.
uncanny ability to find things in his camera roll. I don't understand how you store
Google
them.
photos. Google
Yeah,
photos.
okay. All right, you're impressive. I want to hear from everybody. What's the region that you think will win TI next year? Knoxville,
Europe.
you have to give me an answer. Stop scrolling pictures. Give me an answer.
Oh,
What region's
looking
winning
back at
next
this-
year?
I'm just gonna be cheap and say EU because, there's so much talent
Right.
in EU, and I don't know how much is gonna fly out, and I think some will fly in. So
Nobody
Next,
else can pick EU now. Knoxville stole it.
Well, that's how it
Kips.
works.
Yeah,
Uh,
Kips.
F.
Next region. Nope. You're
Say-
not Ponlo.
I'm taking SA.
Alright.
It's about dang time, and there's a super team coming up. And if that super team makes it through the first couple of months, they're gonna make it all the way, baby.
Next up, who's gonna win the battle?
I'll go last. I'm nice.
go Ponlo.
NA baby. I can love NA Dota. CCNC. Let's go. Actually, he's not even playing NA next season.
Dude,
Oh.
like CCNC and Crit are like in Japan together or something, right?
Yeah, dude, I wasn't
It's like
invited.
they
Man. What the
roster
hell?
league.
No, I don't think so. I hung with him at TI, and he didn't tell me he was going to Japan. He told me nothing, dude.
I
It's
mean,
like,
yeah,
what the
visa
hell?
to go in, right? You can't just go. I think.
I don't know. I'm Singaporean.
All right. Back to your region. All right. What do we have? SA, NA, Europe. What's left?
Mm.
China.
NA, Europe,
C?
and SA are all taken. So you can pick China, Eastern Europe, or Southeast Asia.
Cool. Gotta go with
Eastern Europe is
Southeast Asia.
easy. What?
Wow. What?
How are you talking? You picked fucking NA. Eastern Europe.
I picked NA thinking that you will pick something reasonable like Eastern Europe, man.
I mean, SA is
Jesus.
kind of reasonable.
What? Sorry, I'm from C. My bad.
Oh my
Not
goodness.
not
Okay.
for long.
Oh,
You've heard the predictions for next year. You'll now have to wait a year to tune in and see if they're right. Hopefully, Valve will not make us wait that long to see if any of these major location leaks are correct. Will we be heading back to TI for Seattle? We don't know. We have no idea, but be super cool if we could find out soon, maybe. Janitor, Reddit, come on, let's go. Anyways, if you've been wondering who is here, we finally got Adam and Ponlo both on the same episode. Who knows what regions they'll be in next year, or if Ponlo can even find where he's going on a map. I don't know. We have Kips recently returned to us from TI, the rememberer of Fnatic, you know, of years past success, maybe hopefully part of the run it back strategy. Who knows? And Noxville, he of all the stats, remember to credit him. It's important. It has been the Pinnacle TI Roundtable Talks. We hope you enjoyed. Please feel free to drop a comment. Let us know what you think and why in the heck Ponlo picked NA if you have any reasonable reason. Thanks for watching, everyone.